So good morning. Many students have not submitted the assignment. See that you do submit up to date. You will be having one online quiz related to the end of the class after Saturday. So by today evening, yeah, tomorrow you can just enter a quiz based on the classes which was held up. So we had completed our syllabus of module 5 and we were dealing about one of the case study related to virtual product development. So I told you one more case study we have to check it out related to the forecasting methods. So related to that we'll be dealing with one case study today. Forecasting technologies, what we studied in our module 4. So how this forecasting techniques, methods and technology is being used in companies either in software based or any other product manufacturing, why it is necessary, how it enhances the product life cycle of an product. So everything could be updated. So before we do start, if anyone have not written your name and USN number in the chat room, kindly add it on. I'll just share the screen. So this is the case study what we will be dealing up. So this is based on technology forecasting, a case study related to software technologies and how the software technology product families are implementing this technology forecasting. So this is one of the good research publication which has been published in the year 2016 in International Journal of Information Engineering and Electronic Business. Okay, so you can just have a look of authors also if you need for further this one upgradation. So basically you can see what are its main intentions behind implementing technology forecasting. So here we know that everyone are using computers, many types of softwares, and some are interested in hardware tools related to virtual manufacturing and other techniques. So due to this increased use of computers, information and communication technologies, some software technology products become our part and parcel day-to-day activity. So we cannot stay without using softwares, without using computers. So when the situation is in such a way, there is a need for embedding ourselves into technology forecasting techniques. Okay, so this paper mainly focus on forecasting growth pattern for selected software technology products and associated families to indicate how the market share enhances with the help of technology forecasting. So this mainly results for the growth curve methods, namely logistic, compass, log logistic and monomolecular are compared using the other error measures. We usually have studied one growth curve which is like bell shaped, which has 5 stages. So apart from that, there are many other growth stages which are being evolved and developed also. So you should be aware enough thinking that that is not only the life cycle what you know 5 phases of a product life cycle management which deals with the growth curve: initiation, introduction, growth, maturity and decline, right? So similarly there are other growth curves also which are developed by many different companies, and these are compared with the error measures, how the measures of error are being done. Okay, so they are out of world picture. In our syllabus we just focus on only one life cycle, but there are still other models, other growth curves which are being embedded in order to overcome the errors. So we'll see how these all are put forward in the technology forecasting tool. So basically that is for the overview introduction about what the paper deals about. So now I'll just brush out with respect to the important concepts of introduction part. So in the last class also I explained you an entire case study related to virtual product development. If you get the answer, if you get the question in the examination to explain with an example, you should be able to explain with an practical application part, then only you will excel with good marks. So you should be aware enough what is the current trend going in the market with respect to the subject what you are studying. For that reason, embedding yourself with the latest case study papers is very essential for each module. So don't neglect this part. This is also equally important to excel with good marks in the subject. So kindly listen carefully. So these technologies have a significant impact on all aspects of life, as I told you in the abstract part. The global society and economy is undergoing a fundamental transformation because of advances in the technology. So you know, due to the advancement in the technology, there is a rapid increase in the economy and the transformation on fundamental aspects also. So today's market is highly influenced by these transformational technological advances. Apart from that, globalization, how well your product is globalized and how well the need for increased use of software technologies are developing. So the need for software technologies are developing due to this transformational technological advances. So today, organizations are facing toughest competition among the other companies, because if they want to sustain in the market, they should cope up with respect to these transformational technological aspects, or else they cannot retain in the market. They have to surrender to some other companies who are more stronger than them, and hence there is a tough competition for every organization to map with the transformational technological aspects. Okay, then only they can overcome the performing aspect of their competitors. So software technology product companies are also facing this problem. It is not only the organization who is dealing with the technological aspects, who are manufacturing latest innovative products. No, apart from that, the software people who are developing softwares are also facing this problem. If you take an example of design software, there are n number of CAD tools now available. Again, among the CAD tools, CAD packages, there is a competency like which will be more user friendly, which will be very easy for use, which is comfortable to design innovatively. So that only customer will prefer. So if these usable ease of nature is not designed in your software technology, then people obviously will go for other type of softwares which is ease for use, and hence even the software technology people are bound to embed among themselves with transformational technological advances. So the companies continuously need to improve their software products in order to cope up with the changing technology, so that they can pull the market, means they can grab the market, then only their shares, their sale and profit will increase, and also they could stay very competitively with respect to the other companies who are working in the same field as they are, and hence there is a need. You should be able to trace out the paper. I will be giving you the assignment. If you understand now well, you can write in your own words. That improves first your communication skill as well as a technical skill, and thirdly, how to map your textbook theoretical concept with that of the practical scenario which has been faced in the world, so that you should embed among yourself. So products and technology undergo always constant change and improvement. So due to this, the technological change is both a threat and an opportunity to an enterprise. So if the technology is constant, sustainable, consistent, so then there is no threat for an enterprise. What they are manufacturing, they are able to achieve certain range of profit and they will live happily without any risk. But when these change arise related to the technological aspect, then there is always a threat in the company or an organization. And hence what happens in that case, you have to embed yourself for the change or else leave the market. So every product and the technology is subjected to life cycle starting from introduction to decline. So this you know. So they will get declined very early if they are not able to accept the change in technology. If the company is able to accept the change in technology, then they can sustain for a longer period of time, which will directly affect the life cycle of an product. So investigation of life cycle will always help our enterprises, customers and the country for taking a right decision about what are the policies they have to decide based on the research, so that they can change in the technology as per the requirement. What kind of operational activities have to be fine tuned? What are the investment plan the company has to think about? They should be very keen and work parallelly in all the three fields together, because if the company is good in research, then only they will be able to map up with the changing technologies. Once they are mapping with the changing technologies, they should always change their operational activities. They should optimize the route which is the best to map with the latest research, right? So then only they'll be able to map with the technologies. So once these operational activities are being set right, to put the product into the work, investment plans have to be established. So what is the range of investment being needed? So what are the schemes, plans the company has to decide about the investment? Okay, so you have to segregate all these in the database, make a proper scheduling aspect, then only you can come to know how well you can compete with the other organization based on the changes in the technology. And hence always think in mind, product life cycle is a tool to help the organization to outperform the competition. If anyone look at the product life cycle of a particular product, he will be able to tell how good a product is in the market, whether it is a successful product or it is a failure product or it is a moderate kind of thing. So always your product life cycle plays a vital role in these aspects also. So this subject is very important when you go out as an engineer. It helps you in many ways. So don't just study for the sake of scoring marks. Okay, it should be beneficial for you in many aspects. So related to these concepts, many literature work has been done on the PLC concept, and they have investigated different application areas such as consumer deliverables, pharmaceutical products, technological products, industrial products, etc. Because every product has its own life cycle. It is not a particularly softwares we were speaking about, only those are products. No, there are n number of products which are consumed by the consumers. It could be medicines, it could be some latest technologies, it could be some industrial products, some electronical products, whatever. And hence a big literature survey based on product life cycle concept is being investigated throughout. So these are all the sectors in which they have investigated. So from that, the most common product life cycle pattern is the classical bell-shaped curve. Okay, so that is we have studied no 5 phases of product life cycle. The same thing, the bell-shaped curve is the most commonly used project life cycle pattern. But I told you, apart from that product life cycle pattern of bell shape, there are other shape also. So out of those, this is the best it is been claimed. And hence, technology forecasting predicts technological trends. So what are the technological trends it predicts? Such as the direction and the rate of technological development. So if you implement this technological forecasting tools and methods, we have studied in our class module 4 what are the technology forecasting tools and methods. So if they implement these forecasting tools and methods, so this helps in identifying the direction and the rate of technological development the company is undergoing. Okay, so the primary function what a company has to set up for forecasting is to predict the future using data what is in hand. So if you segregate all the data related to the company or the organization based on which type of products they have manufactured until now, what are its sales, what are its profit, okay, where it is lying a lacuna, so what are the things which has to be updated. So if they have the database related to the plus and the minus point, so then a company can forecast what will be its latest situation where it can go in future, so they can predict what will be the future of that particular company. And hence growth analysis is always quantitative, and it requires a set of numerical data, and it always uses S-shaped curves. So S-shaped curve is the other pattern of the project life cycle. So what we have studied is the bell-shaped curve. So we'll come into it. Okay, so related to that, again in the literature, growth curves are often used for modeling product life cycle. So the growth curve what we studied is always used for modeling the entire time of an product life cycle. So the growth curves, the first derivative of the product life cycle, are widely used in technological forecasting. So whenever you speak about technological forecasting, it is directly relying on our product life cycle, and hence both will go in hand. Basically, this paper is focusing on forecasting the life cycle of selected software technology products using growth curve methods. So there are many softwares which are available in today's world. So these are being analyzed, forecasted with respect to their life cycle using different growth curve methods. Also in this paper it has been focused on different forecasting technology families versus the desktop and mobile operating systems, search engines, web browsers. So these are the software technology families which are being focused related to its life cycle for forecasting technologies. So in these, there are many forecasting. There are around 11 to 12 this one growth curves associated for product life cycle. So in this, four growth curves are experimentally compared. So what are these four growth curves? One is the logistic, the second one is the compass, the third is the log logistic, and the fourth one is the monomolecular. So these are the four methods of growth curve which are being tested experimentally in the paper. So once you have gone through the different growth curves, there I told there are 10 to 11. Out of that, these four are more important, and hence in the paper they have focused on these four growth curves. So once you analyze with the growth curves available, then the section 2 deals about the methodology, and it discusses the product life cycle, the growth curve methods, and how about the market structure. So this is the second part of the paper. Always a paper will be having an abstract which throws you related to what about the paper is all about. So once you read the abstract, you will come to know what will be there in the paper. And the introduction part will always provide the groundwork about the area in which an researcher is writing the paper. So by reading the introduction part, you will come to know on the whole what the paper is about, and it also describes what is being included in the paper. So always the last paragraph tells you what is done. Since it is a review paper, it is explaining. If it is an actual experimental paper, you will be having the result discussion part at the last part of the introduction. Say, and also the literature gap, what is it, and as the objective of a paper is this, and these are the results which will be concluded. So in that way you end up an introduction. But here, since it is just a review of many things, it is stating what the paper on the whole is about. So once the literature is done, the section 2 will provide the discussion related to product life cycle and the growth curve methods, how it is grabbing the market. In section 3, it is related to the work of software technology forecasting, what we were discussing in the abstract. Okay, it throws the entire light on forecasting technologies. And section 4 will deal only with the result and discussion based on the implemented technology forecasting tools. And the last section of the paper will provide you the conclusion on the entire study with an basic finalization of how the end should be or any modification if needed. So all those stuffs will be mentioned in the conclusion part. So now we are coming to the second part, what we call it as the methodology part. So methodology part will discuss the product life cycle and different growth curve methods which are available. So this methodology section introduces us for forecasting software technology products. So what is being done here? So first, it is speaking about the growth curves. So to estimate the parameters of the growth curve, what is being done? The equation of the growth curve is transferred into a linear function using the natural logarithm. So this is a linear function which is being developed for the growth curve using natural logarithm. So the parameters of the linear models will be later estimated using simple linear regression methods. So they do use simple linear regression methods. I told you the growth curves are always modeled. So to model you should be having the mathematical equation. For that you have to set right the variables and create a proper mathematical model for all the 4 types of the growth curve, and hence it is very much essential. So this is the first growth model. So to find the best fit growth model, mean absolute deviation, which is called in short as MAD, and root mean square error, which is called as RMSE, are used to calculate the fitting of the method. So these are the two equations which helps you in generating how well it is fitting with that of the growth curve. So you will provide the input, then you will plot the graph, and it should map with that of the theoretical graph. How does it look like? If both are mapping, then you can say that the equation what you have developed is set up right for that particular curve, or else you should again change the variation with the input variables such that when you put the real time values to it, the nature of the curve what you get should match similarly to that of the theoretical graph which will be available for the 4 type of the growth curves. We haven't started any growth curve yet. Before that, how the equation has to be generated for mathematical model fitting, that is being explained over here. So the project, the historical data using best fitted growth curve method. So for this, once you generate the equation, you need the entire historical data related to that from the company or the organization. So then they use the data and then they manipulate the values and they try to fit the graph. So which is mapping, for that you will go which type of curve is best suited. Either it is logistic, yeah, Gompers, yeah, still two more we have. Monomolecular, yeah, logistic. Okay, so these are about how you have to generate the mathematical equation, and once it has been generated, once the data is taken from the organization database, or it could be directly from the product data manufacturing PDM tool, which embeds all the data about the company product, how it is been manufactured, right from selection of the material to entire specification, entire bill of material details, each and every aspect will be there. So after segregation of the historical data, you have to identify the market structure of the industry based on the concept of market structure. So you should identify exact how the structure of the market for that particular product will be based on the analysis concepts of the market structure, because before you manufacture a product, people will always survey the market, how it is, what is the need, how the nature of the market is, whether the product what you're going to manufacture will be suitable for other market. You should first select to which market you are throwing the product. Based on the location of the market, you should fine tune your entire work. Then only that product can fit into the market. And hence you have to first analyze the concept of the market. Then you identify your market structure for the industry based thing. So these are the groundwork one has to do before it is going to any of the growth curve. But you have some limitations related to the methodology what it is been followed also. So what is the limitation? The unpredictable events such as release of incremental version of technology product, new alternative for the product, etc. are beyond the scope of this study. So in this methodology, they haven't considered two aspects. What are they? Such as release of incremental version of technology product. So you will be having one product which is thrown into the market. Incremental version means you are sending some upgradation to the existing product into the market year wise, one after the other. So how these variation will be focused is not currently mentioned in the paper, but even that has to be considered. That is what it is being told. And a new alternative for the product also, which could be possible, even that is not included in this study. So hence they claim these two are the limitations of the methodology what they have followed in this paper, because the equations here are not predicting any changes with respect to new version of product or the incremental version of the existing product. This is suitable only for manufacturing a product in single shot and throwing it into the market, and hence these two are the limitations. I haven't taken the attendance. Just a second, I will take the screenshot. If anyone haven't written your name and USN, kindly do type it. Okay, so this is about. So there are anyone else who haven't written the name and USN? I'm just taking the list. Just a second. Yeah. So let us come back. So these are the drawbacks related to our methodologies, what the people have used based on this current paper. Okay, so here, so they have dealt about the PLC also. The PLC, our product life cycle concept, was first introduced by Joel Dean in the year 1950. Right? So what happened at that case? It is product sales or profits over its lifetime. This you know everything. What does product life cycle means? So majority of the authors stated that PLC can be divided into four stages, namely introduction, growth, maturity and decline. So beyond this also we have one more stage, what we call it as initiation phase. So many people have told that PLC could be divided into 4 stages, but according to Kotler, it involves 5 distinct stages. So these are product development, introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. See, PLC, we are speaking about the life cycle when the product is on to the market. So it starts from introduction. But before the product is on to the market, the product has to be developed. So it also has its own life cycle because you have to select the material, vendor, equipment, fundraising, then doing the design, get accepting the right design, then you're doing the modeling, simulation, checking the prototype, and then manufacturing the parts, then assembling into a single product. So how much time is required? So how many stages are there? So even that has to be considered, right? So then only you can provide an entire life cycle right from the beginning to the end of a product. So that can provide you the entire description for a given product life cycle. So that is mainly essential. The previous thing only speaks about introduction, and hence in the last module we had a topic related to the life cycle of the items also, if you remember. So that life cycle of an item usually speaks about only the product development part. It was decided into 2 preliminary phase and then the production phase, right? If you remember what we told, the preliminary phase only explains you and separate life cycle for the design part of it, and then the production life cycle will just speak about the production units life cycle for that entire product, and then the third life cycle is for the PLC, what we have studied already, right from introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. And hence it is very essential to focus on entire life of a product right from its born to the end. So this you have to understand, and based on this they have explained our all the phases of product life cycle. I'm not going to explain this again. Everyone knows what happens in introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. I have put forward on these aspects in every module if I remember, and I assure, I accept that even you guys know the meaning of it. Okay, so after this, so based on the process, some theoretical rationale behind this PLM concept was formed in the form of theory of diffusion and adoption of innovations. Okay, so based on the PLC concept, so there were some theories which were developed for theory of diffusion, and these theory of diffusion will help how to get the adoption for the innovations. So there is a specific researcher who have worked on this theoretical models also. So based on his theoretical model development, he was able to segregate 12 types of PLC patterns were discovered by this investigator. So you just are aware about one pattern of the life cycle which speaks about introduction to decline, what you studied in your first module, and similarly in the last module you dealt about different life cycles of the items. So that is also is on this aspect only. Apart from the product into the market, you have a different life cycle right from the beginning, what I explained you. So based on that you have different life cycles. So keeping all those things in mind, a paper is generated showing that how well 12 types of product life cycle patterns could be discovered, and it has been discovered already about the 12 patterns. Okay, so based on the 12 patterns, now we have to throw light on the growth curve of the product. So the growth curve are mainly used to forecast how and when a technology will reach its upper limit. Means upper limit is the thing where it reaches its maturity, the saturation level, the stagnation level for certain period of time, where it enjoys the upper amount of the profit for a particular product. So growth pattern of various technologies in a particular industry always help to understand what are the characteristics of the industry. and it also helps in analyzing the technology what they are using for different innovative process. So every now and then in many of the organization now they are focusing on the latest technological trends by using different innovative process. Every people want different new products which are very much user friendly, so that they want to enjoy the technology than that of doing the work by themselves. So they are more addicted to the updated technologies than that of going to the past stage where everything was done by human. When this is the scenario, so these growth curves plays a vital role to see that the product which has been manufactured are mapping with the innovation process what they are using, and hence it is applied to a variety of fields including technology, physics, biology, science and economics. So irrespective of the area in which the people are working, so in every area now they are implementing this growth curve technology to forecast the technology tools and methods. So these growth curves are used for forecasting the mobile user growth or the diffusion of mobile telephony or even the wireless phone diffusion, and also the trend in DRAM industry. So these are they are put forward with respect to the references what they are using, just to justify the given statement with some example where the people have already used. So they are justifying this statement with the example where it is being used already, and hence all these growth analysis is highly quantitative and it requires a huge amount of data, and